Blessed be the name of the Lord. This is about Daniel 9:27, and I got prompted to record this video because whenever Daniel 9:27 comes up, people seem to have opposite, very different opinions about who is the man spoken of who makes the covenant. Christ, or is it the Antichrist? It says, "He shall make a strong covenant with many for 1 week, and for half of the week he shall put an end to sacrifice and offering. And on the wing of abominations shall come one who makes desolate, till the decreed end is poured out on the desolator." And unfortunately, the Bible is full of language like that, which we find confusing. Maybe back then, 3,000 years ago, people had no problem with it. But when it says he said to him, and then he answered to him, and like, who is he, who is him? So I'm not going to go into numbers and calculations, which is usually not very often that people do. It's not my thing. The 70 weeks, 62 weeks, plus 1 week, minus 2 weeks. No, there's no minus. I'm just... However, one thing is not mentioned often enough, that 70 weeks refers primarily to the 70 years of exile of the Jews in Babylon. And Daniel read Jeremiah, and Jeremiah said, 70 years you will be in exile. And Daniel is like, oh, I get it now. This is almost over. Lord, he prayed, let us go back to Israel. So the basic meaning of 77s is 70, which is 70 weeks, is 70 years, okay? Another point that needs to be clear is that this is one of the most, not just misunderstood, but not understood verses, most disputed verses in prophecy, if not in all of the Bible. It's so confusing that even Daniel, who was a wise guy, wise man, he couldn't understand it. And God had to send an angel for Daniel to be explained everything. And the angel many times said to Daniel, understand what this is. I want you to understand. And that's why we have this curious insert in the Gospels when Jesus is talking about the same topic, abomination of desolation in the last days. And Jesus says, let the reader understand. This is the only place, I think, in the whole Bible that it's so confusing that God wants us to understand. But although we have all the numbers and directions, nobody really knew when Jesus was coming. The Jews had no clue when the first coming was. And even today, everybody still has a different opinion. So I looked into that, and the first thing I noticed is that he shall make a covenant. In some translations, they say he shall confirm a covenant. And I thought, well, how can it be either or? If you confirm a covenant, then that means there is an existing covenant. If you make one, then you make a new one. Not as in the New Testament, but which one is it? Make a covenant or confirm? Well, it turns out neither. It's a bad translation. Again, it says, he shall make, and that the word is uigbir. That is strong, what do you call it? Strong lexicon, KJV, 1396, uigbir. And actually that is very similar to Giburim 1368, which is in Genesis 6:4. And that suggests that this covenant is imposed, forced. Because in Genesis 6:4, this talks about the Nephilim, the strong men, the men of renown, the heroes of old. And the root of both of these words, both in Genesis 6:4 and here in Daniel 9:27, the root is gabar. G-B-R, or G-B-R, Gimel Bet Resh in Hebrew. Every Hebrew word has a 3-word root, and that's how people know they are related, those words, and many words are related, right? So, make covenant is Gabar, H1396, you can look it up, and that means to be strong, to prevail, to confirm, to be great, be mighty, prevail, strengthen, be strong, and so forth. And then we got the men of renown, Genesis 6:4, and that's H1368. It's Giburim, and that means powerful and warrior, tyrant, giant, man, mighty, and so forth. It's the same root. One word is a noun, the other word is a verb, but it's the same root, and the root is key in Hebrew. So when it says he shall make a covenant, it doesn't mean that. It means he shall impose a covenant. He shall force a covenant. And that actually reminds us of the beast who will impose the covenant on the whole humanity to take the mark. We need to make a covenant. Everybody who wants to do business, buy and sell, needs to have the mark. If you want to exist, let's just make it clear. So you need to sign up for that covenant. But that covenant is not voluntary, it's imposed. And that's the first clue that the person making the covenant is not the Messiah, because Jesus would not force, would not impose anything on anybody. God is all about free will. And Jesus presents the truth, and we agree to that truth or not. We accept it or we reject it. Number 2, I could not find in the Bible anywhere that Jesus made a 7-year covenant with anybody. The new covenant is eternal, has no end, and it's not 7 years. So if you know the place in the Bible where it says that the covenant with Jesus, the new covenant, is 7 years, then please let me know. But don't assume that I'm going to believe that Saint Stephen dying as a martyr is the end of this covenant. I know it looks kind of plausible that Jesus had his ministry for 3.5 years, but there's no mention of a 7-year covenant with Christ. Number 3. Did Jesus put an end to sacrifice and offering? That's one of the things. Well, when he went to the cross, yes, the sacrifices in the temple stopped. But actually they lasted for 37 years after the cross. 37 years. So they did not exactly stop right there. But Jesus shifted those sacrifices to him. He moved them over to him. He was the sacrifice. He never stopped sacrifices. Sacrifice is something God wants eternally. That's why he instructed Jesus to be the eternal, everlasting sacrifice. And all Jesus did is the way that sacrifices are done. Now they are supposed to be done through him. Our daily life is a sacrifice. Our worship to God is sacrifice. The fruit of our lips is sacrifice. Romans 12. Present your bodies as a living sacrifice, which is your spiritual worship. If our bodies are sacrificed, then sacrifice is not done. There is no end to sacrifices. Only the devil would want to stop the sacrifices because he doesn't want God to be worshipped. Hebrews 13:15 says, through Jesus, let us continually offer a sacrifice to God. Continually. God wants us to offer sacrifices to him continually. So would God want to stop it? Would Jesus want to stop it? And actually stopping the regular offerings is the transgression that makes desolate. Daniel 8:13. Then I heard a holy one speaking, for how long is the vision concerning the regular burnt offering, the transgression that makes desolate? The transgression that makes desolate and giving over the sanctuary to be trampled underfoot. It's a transgression to stop sacrifices, to give the temple to be trampled. So how could Jesus commit this abomination of desolation? How can Jesus be connected to the abomination of desolation? And then, is Daniel 9 fulfilled? Well, Matthew 24:15, it says, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place, let the reader understand, because it's difficult. And then a few lines below, 24:29 says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the stars will fall from heaven, and then you will see the sign of Son of Man, and every tribe of the earth will mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and great glory. So Jesus goes from abomination of desolation, which might have happened in 33 or AD 70, but he moves it right into the very last days, now, which is about to happen in a few short years. And then he talks about the second coming. This is not the coming that happened in AD 70 or when Jesus appeared to the disciples, because every tribe will mourn. All the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. All the tribes, the whole earth will see Jesus coming with power and glory. That hasn't happened yet. So I don't think that Daniel 9 is fulfilled. And then the book of Daniel has quite a few places describing the Antichrist. It's in chapter 7, 8, 9, and 11. And every time we see that the beast types, the men of sin type of people, the foreshadows of them, like Antiochus Epiphanes, they wanted to end sacrifices. Daniel 8:24, his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. This is a description of the Antichrist. He shall destroy and he shall prosper. We got this phrase, shall prosper. Again, Daniel 8:25. Through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. He shall stand up against the Prince of Princes, that's against Jesus. So craft to prosper, remember that. And then Daniel 11:36, the king shall do as he wills, he shall exalt himself, he shall speak against the God of gods, and he shall prosper until the indignation is accomplished. And Daniel 8:10, it became so strong, the little horn, this is talking about the little horn, which is another title of the Antichrist. 8:11, it humiliated heaven's army, dishonored its leader by keeping him from offering the daily sacrifices. It disgraced the temple and wiped out the true worship. And it prospered in all it did. Prosper is used of the beast, not of Jesus. Jesus would not cast down the truth to the ground. And 8, 9, 11 in Daniel, they have the same characteristics. When they prosper, they throw the truth to the ground and they stop offerings and sacrifices. Now, the one who throws the truth to the ground and prosper, that must be a major deceiver. And that's going to happen even more during these times now, during the times of deception. We have antichrists like that around us now, and they throw the truth to the ground and they prosper. And they are called journalists, government agents, pastors sometimes, fake pastors, social media, designers, and all these people who run all those platforms. But there will be one main deceiver who will outdo them all, and he's coming. And they already listen to him and follow him, but he will really shine and prosper when he is revealed very soon. So all of these verses added up, presenting how the Antichrist operate, man of sin operates in foreshadows in the past, and how he will do business in the future, I think show us that 927 is not talking about Jesus. It's talking about the beast, the man of sin, because he throws the truth to the ground. He is the one who stops the sacrifices because he doesn't like God, the one true God, to be worshipped. Thank you for listening, and may the Lord richly bless you from Zion. Take care. Bye-bye.